Let's start with Meghnad. Meghnad, you have a topic that's been dominating the headlines for the last couple of days. Please tell us what you have for us this week.
Right. So my story is about Manish Sisodia, who was arrested uh,
Hmm.
and sent to a 5-day custody by the CBI. He was arrested on Sunday, which is the 26th of February,
Hmm.
which is 5 days from now. So today is
Yes.
the fifth day. So
Right.
apparently some movement might happen, and most likely his custody will be extended. Now,
Hmm.
this is the second minister from the Aam Aadmi Party Delhi government which has been arrested and detained, who has been arrested and detained. First was Satyendra Jain, who
Hmm.
got arrested in May last year. He's been in jail for 9 months. And if you remember, like right before the MCD elections, there were these weird videos coming of Satyendra Jain chilling in jail and
In jail,
getting
yes.
foot massages and eating dry fruits. So that is one. The
Yeah.
second is now Manish Sisodia is also in custody.
Hmm.
Uh, the reason why he's in custody is because of two reasons. But okay, so we are going to divide the story into two parts. One is, of course, the political part of it, which I'll come to later, but
Hmm.
also the why was he arrested part of it, right?
Right.
Um, okay, so there are two cases, quote unquote, which he's detained under for investigation by the CPI. First is the liquor policy excise, quote unquote, scam.
Hmm.
Right? It is basically a scam, not scam, still don't know. Then there is the snooping case. There is a snooping case on Mr. Manish
Manish
Sisodia,
Sisodia.
which I will also tell you about. Okay,
Hmm.
so first things first. Uh, so the Delhi liquor excise policy was implemented by the Delhi government back in 2021. This was right after the pandemic lockdowns had ended, and
Right.
suddenly the Delhi government is like, "Listen, we are changing the entire policy." And for a glorious few months, Delhi had the most golden liquor months of its existence, where there were like these very fancy new shops that started coming up. Uh, all those sada hua government shops which don't even give you a bag to take your
Right.
alcohol are gone, and
Yeah.
now there are these fancy AC shops with like a ton of alcohol varieties, etc., and they
Hmm.
had ridiculous discounts.
Hmm.
And they had like one पे एक पे एक free beer के लिए crate लेके जाओ तो एक और crate दे देंगे type like discount deals. Then there were like a variety of new alcohols that were just experimental alcohol companies that came in, and they started selling their products in this, right? Now that happened because of the change in excise policy. Now what the Aam Aadmi Party government essentially did, and that was the logic behind this, that government shouldn't be in the liquor business. That was the
Hmm.
basic point of that policy, that
Okay.
एक तो बहुत corruption होता है. The government agencies involved in the excise liquor department get an opportunity to be extremely corrupt. So why don't we just get out of the business and make it into a licensing regime where private players can just come
Hmm.
in and build up their own liquor businesses.
Hmm.
The second
Hmm.
thing they did was that they removed the MRP restrictions on the liquor price. So they actually
Okay.
allowed businessmen who are dealing in liquor to offer discounts,
Okay.
अनलिमिटेड डिस्काउंट्स, राइट? सो
Hmm.
इसीलिए वो 1+1 फ्री टाइप होने लगा था,
Hmm.
राइट?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
um and the other thing that they did was they basically lowered the minimum age of consumption of liquor from 25 to 21,
Hmm.
and they said that home delivery of liquor will also happen. That is
Okay.
something that was generally largely the policy, right? Another thing is that they basically did this to increase their own tax collection.
Hmm.
So the logic there is कि state government को पैसा लेना है, तो फिर there
Hmm.
are two very big ways that the government can get money, and one of them is alcohol. So
Okay.
alcohol pay state government puts in taxes, and a large chunk of money comes from those taxes, right? So their whole thing was that if we make alcohol more freely available,
Hmm.
easily consumable, and more popular, then
Hmm.
our taxes will also go up, right?
Correct.
Which
Hmm.
actually did happen. They like in the few months that it was active, some 2000 crore का profit हुआ उनको, मतलब profit in the sense income हुआ government को. Now, so that is what the policy was. Now, what the CBI did essentially is that there are allegations against Manish Sisodia, particularly, who was the brains behind this policy, that he did it to benefit big players,
Mhm.
big monopolies of liquor barons, etc. The second is there were kickbacks that happened,
Mm.
where some licenses were given out to people and Manish Sisodia got kickbacks. And the third allegation is that this whole policy thing was done to pour money into the Punjab elections, which were happening right
Okay.
after that.
Mm.
And basically, Aam Aadmi Party wanted to do a big campaign, so therefore, this was an excuse for the Aam Aadmi Party to earn money and then pour it
Mm.
into that election. Now,
Mm.
so that's the whole allegation part of it. Now there were raids happened on Manish Sisodia last year. A few months ago, again there was a raid, and he was called in for questioning. Tab usko kuch nahi hua. But then later he announced that, oh, these guys are definitely going to arrest me at some point.
Mm.
So I'm just preparing you. And now that has happened. Last Sunday he was actually arrested for 5 days for now. But I genuinely feel the way Satyendra Jain's case went, they will just keep him and like
Okay.
keep rolling
Mm.
it forward. The other thing that happened also is that Satyendra Jain and Manish Sisodia have both resigned on Tuesday as ministers, and their portfolios have gone to other people, existing
Okay.
ministers. Right now, the second case he is also accused under is this thing called snooping case. Okay, so now this is actually very interesting and funny because I mean I read about it last week only, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So Delhi government has had established a feedback unit in
Okay.
2016. It was literally called the feedback unit in
Mm.
2016, right? Which employed 17 contractual employees. Now, these contractual employees had interesting backgrounds. They all came from ex intelligence bureau backgrounds and also central paramilitary forces backgrounds, right?
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
this feedback unit, unka job tha, their mandate was to keep an eye on the functioning of various departments and provide actionable intelligence to the cabinet so that they
Mhm.
can function better, right? Now, the back then the LG Vinay Kumar Saxena, he approved the CBI's request to file a case against Sisodia, and what he alleged is that this is an excuse to actually snoop on people. So he said that the feedback unit is actually a
Mm.
snooping unit,
Okay. Mm.
which is snooping on not just me, which is the LG, but
Mm.
opponents and like other people,
Mm.
right? Now the CBI, after an analysis, had given a statement. They said in a report and alleged that while 60% are related to vigilance matters handled by this feedback unit,
Mhm.
political intelligence and other issues accounted for around 40%. Now,
Mhm.
that 40% is what they had a problem with.
Mhm.
They said that this unit is dealing with political activities of persons, political entities, and political issues touching political interests of AAP, BJP, or like which is beyond the scope and ambit of the functionings of this unit. So, then essentially their whole thing is that this is a violation of the right to privacy, and it is a constitutional violation because a state government is trying to snoop on the central government now, and
Right.
that is not allowed,
Mm.
etc, etc. So that is the thing. Okay, I'm going to pause
Mm.
here because questions first, then we'll go to the political stuff.
Yeah, I have a question, and Gaurav, then we can come to you. Firstly, you said that Manish Sisodia, apparently one of the allegations is he got some kickbacks. Can you just tell us in a nutshell what a kickback is?
So, okay. So basically, the way licensing of alcohol works is that
Mhm.
Delhi has been divided into multiple sectors, right? And
Okay.
each
Mhm.
sector will have a license that is active, and the
Mhm.
licenses are very expensive. It's like some crore mein jata hai license,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So if you're a player who wants to do a business in alcohol, you have to buy a license from the government, right?
Right.
Um, earlier, earlier, both the government and the private players were running these businesses, right? So it
Mhm.
was like a combination. So you can
Mm.
have like a private shop, but it would have like government interference also. So it was like a very semi, like government plus private
Private
model.
players. Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
government did is it completely extracted itself from the thing. So
Mm.
earlier also licenses were given, but it
Mm.
was also based on, oh, तुम government के साथ काम करते कर सकते हो
Mm.
या नहीं कर
Mm.
सकते
Mm.
types. तो
Mm.
corruption का तब तो बहुत ही ज्यादा ये था. Now
Mm.
what the allegation is now is that even now the licenses that have been given out the kickbacks that you got. So to get that license, which is for this one particular sector,
Right.
right? So the allegation is that there were some 7 people who essentially got those kickbacks from private players who wanted these licenses so that they can lobby with the app government and get
Mm.
them those licenses. So there
Okay.
were middlemen, right? And one of them was a familiar name, the owner of OML, CEO of OML, Vijay Nair,
Oh
ex-CEO.
yes,
Yeah.
I
So
remember
he
this.
was
He also got.
also
Yes,
named
yes,
in the
yes.
charge sheet, and there were a few other people.
Correct.
So yeah, that is the essential allegation that ब्राइब करके लाइसेंसेस मिले हैं और वो ब्राइब्स
Mm.
जो है वो मनीष सिसोदिया को गए हैं एंड आम
Okay,
आदमी पार्टी टू
got
फंड
it.
द पंजाब इलेक्शंस सो या
Got it. Considering Manish Sisodia is like the number two person in the Aam Aadmi Party, what has been the party's response, and has Kejriwal made any statements regarding this?
uh, so so the political part of it
Mm.
essentially um a big blow to Aam Aadmi Party,
Mm.
like without question, a big blow to Aam Aadmi Party. Manish Sisodia, for all effective reasons, was the chief minister of Delhi.
Mm.
I mean, you have to understand this, right? He had 18 portfolios under him
Right.
alone. He
Right.
was handling everything from education to excise to whatever, right? You know, like
Mm. Mm.
everything. He was the number two man on paper, but actually he
Mm.
was the number one man in Delhi.
Mm. Mm.
Kejriwal was thinking of national expansion. So he's
Correct.
more of a political boss with the chief minister title, but
Mm.
actual administration of Delhi was
Mm.
completely being handled by the Manish Sisodia's office.
Mm.
Now, Manish Sisodia, from what I know, like, you know, I have worked with the Delhi government a little bit, right? He has all these special units in each department where he gets like a lot of consultants and young people to essentially do like policy making, etc. And then he does like special projects and implements them. One big focus was, of course, education.
Mm.
Um, Now, Manish Sisodia, for like, and I'm not kidding when I say this, he completely transformed education in India single-handedly, right? And
Mhm.
nobody will deny this. Like even
Mm.
BJP will say that, oh yeah, this guy, he did something, right?
Mhm.
Um, Parents in Delhi are ultra happy with the school education that their kids are getting. There are literally now people trying to get their kids into government schools more than private schools, and that's, I
Right.
think, a big achievement there
Mm.
in
Mm.
the
Mm.
capital especially. um so so both ways, I think it's a big blow to Aam Aadmi Party because he's the poster child
Right.
who is now basically inactive.
Right.
And I feel like he was a big confidant to Arvind Kejriwal also in all
Mm.
and every matters.
Mm. Mm.
So he's basically was a, I mean, they're like best friends.
Right.
So
Yeah.
your best friend is now in jail. Who are you going to talk to?
Yeah.
That's a big problem. So
Yeah.
basically, he's like what Amit Shah is to Narendra Modi.